Is that your feelings after watching it?
Yes, that is actually my feelings after watching it.
Oh boy.
I didn't say I didn't like it. What are you all boying about?
It's Christmas Eve in LA. But a team of terrorists
Who said we were terrorists?
have their own holiday plans.
And I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay.
But the one thing they didn't plan on was New York cop John McClane.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Bruce Willis. Die Hard.
Showtime.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It seems as if you have just watched Die Hard.
I have, in fact, just watched the movie Die Hard for the first time. You've never seen Die Hard, which I think is far less egregious a crime as some other people that I know who haven't seen certain movies. I know Die Hard has become like now this sort of like pop culture classic, and you know, it's still just Die Hard.
Is that your feelings after watching it?
Yes, that is actually my feelings after watching it.
Oh boy.
I didn't say I didn't like it. What are you all boying about? I didn't say I didn't like it. I did like it. I thought it was a very enjoyable action movie, an absolutely fantastic, over-the-top, legendarily good villain who absolutely steals every single frickin' scene that he's in.
I'm going to count to 3. 1. 2. I'm telling you, you're just gonna have to kill me. Okay. We do it the hard way.
I feel like every movie Alan Rickman is in, you tend to always just remember Alan Rickman, right? Like, don't you? If you think of any movie he's in,
he steals the show constantly throughout this movie. I wanted more of him and less Bruce Willis.
Sorry, Hans. I didn't get that message.
He was not an enjoyable 80s action movie protagonist. Out of all the Bruce Willis movies I've seen, this was easily my bottom Bruce Willis performance.
This was like Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler, Bruce Willis.
yes, it was.
Hey, me fella, look here. Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler.
This was their attempt to make Bruce Willis into what was, at the time, the stereotypical 80s action hero. And it, for the most part, works. I mean, I'm not saying that he was bad in it. In fact, he was a lot more believable. He was less over the top than Stallone in Cobra or Schwarzenegger in Commando, or, you know, just mowing down dozens of guys.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The fact that he was getting his ass kicked a lot and getting bloodied and beaten and was like really in over his head, I found that appealing.
For me, the reason that I go back to this 80s action movie more than most 80s action movies is because it's more fun.
I want to dive into Rickman's performance and his character here a little bit, especially like about why I liked it, because it's not just that Rickman was so good. The character himself is kind of fascinating because you get this sense that he's this really intelligent, really suave guy with these really lofty ideals. And there's some hints at the beginning that possibly, you know, they're a terrorist organization, or possibly he has these grander motives. And they do spill the beans pretty early on that he's like, no, I just want these bonds. But you're not entirely sure that that really is his thing, because he's playing so many mental games with people.
The following people are to be released from their captors. Northern Ireland, the 7 members of the New Provo Front. Canada, the 5 imprisoned leaders of Liberté de Québec. The 9 members of the Asian Dawn.
What the fuck?
But it turns out that ultimately he's just a common thief. I feel like there actually could be a really fantastic version of Die Hard told from his perspective as a heist movie. I mean, could you imagine seeing Hans and his guys plotting out this heist and figuring out how they're going to execute it, and actually seeing them execute it more from his point of view, and having McClane be this sort of side character, like a thorn in their side, who you don't really see much of, and they're, you know, trying to conquer him. Of course, Hans would have to win in the end in that
Right.
case.
You could have the Bruce Willis character kind of be the person that you root against.
I was rooting for him because I tend to root for the good guys, and I also tend to like stories and scenarios in movies where there's someone in way over their head and they have to use their head in order to get out of the situation that they're in.
Right.
That's why that is why he was a more appealing action hero than, you know, some of the other 80s guys, where they got out of it with brawn. Bruce Willis had to use brains in order to get get out of it. But yeah, the thing with Hans Gruber is that he really is just sort of a petty criminal. He's just a really damn advanced and good one.
After all your posturing, all your little speeches, you're nothing but a common thief.
I am an exceptional thief, Mrs. McLean.
They're going to murder dozens and dozens of people and destroy an entire bit, and like just a huge high profile crime, and doing so in a way that puts them like right on the edge of being caught, right? Because part of their plan is we need to get the FBI in here and all that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that they did all that, and like you said, they killed all those people just to steal some money. Ultimately, just steal some money and have to split it with a good amount of people. So you're really not getting that much at the end of it.
Yeah, there were like there was like a dozen to start with, right?
This was the thing. I didn't know it was based on a 1979 novel called Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe. Like, I wonder how it is in the novel compared to how it was in the movie.
Yeah, that's a good question to see what the original was like, what the original
because
vision of him was like.
The movie it changes. So
some other good things. I mean, I do want to point out the camera work in the movie was phenomenal throughout. There's just some really great shot compositions, especially in the beginning. The first 10 minutes, I was actually really taken. I was like, oh wow, this is a really well crafted movie. I was kind of expecting just a little more run and gun kind of stuff. The lighting and color palette was really terrific. Just really well chosen material there in the beginning to sort of set the stage, which I thought was cool. It had way less action than I expected it to have. I figured, oh, it's Die Hard. This is a legendary action movie. This is going to be like wall to wall, like running and gunning. Now there's actually really only a handful of major action sequences.
It's one of the rare action movies where the scenes I remember aren't really the action scenes.
Hans, Bobby.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore.
God, that man looks really pissed.
He's still alive.
Of course, the best scene of the movie is that first meeting between Hans and McClane. Just so brilliantly played. The tension in that scene was just fantastically built up. Rickman, of course, again, is remarkable in it. Just a really terrific scene.
Like how he switches his accent.
Please, no, please.
Don't kill me, please.
Whoa, relax.
He takes the name because it's on the board.
Yeah, which that was a great little bit, because when he goes to ask the name, then there's a shot of the board. By the way the shots are staged, you're meant to understand that Hans's back is to the board.
Right.
And John can see it. So he asks for his name, and it's like, oh, he's caught now, but then you're wondering how's Hans going to get out of this, because he's about to get caught. But then he comes up with a legit name. Now you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's a real well done, fun scene.
Often in movies like this, they introduce personal storyline to personalize the hero. It's really kind of like not needed. In this case, I thought it was pretty well done. Even though I didn't care about John as a character, it was still presented well so that you felt for her, you felt for the wife. And the action stuff that was there was pretty cool. It was not like bad over the top 80s action stuff, but also like fun and dynamic. Of course, the famous leap from the roof with, the helicopter explosion and swinging in through the window was great stuff.
And he's being attacked by the FBI, by the bad guys, by the cops, like all at the same time, because they think he's the bad guy.
Yeah, the really nice tactical choice between Hans and like the big dumb blonde oaf to shoot the glass out so he cuts his feet up.
Glass.
Shoot the glass.
I enjoyed the whole thing. Like, honestly, I think the only thing I didn't enjoy were some of those comic relief characters in the end, and John McClane himself, like, was just not a likable action hero. But everything else was really cool. Like, I completely understand why people love the movie.
Yeah, it's ultimately just fun.
Yeah, and it's not a Christmas movie.
No, it takes place on Christmas.
That's a fun debate, and I know people enjoy having that. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I think it actually came out in July or the summer, so it didn't even come out during the winter season.
Oh, yeah, see, so that's even another mark against it. If you can extract the Christmas thing from the movie or story, and the story itself remains unchanged, then it's not a Christmas movie. You can completely remove the Christmas element and nothing changes except for one thing, which I do have to remark on. The reason why Christmas is there is to give him a reason to go
right to the party, but it could have been anything. Could have been New Year's.
Could have been New Year's. It could have been just a meeting. Could have been just
right.
a business meeting. It could have been, absolutely anything. The Christmas element is not there except for one thing. And I thought this was really clever, really well done, because it was subtle in the beginning until it became obvious in the end. And that was the music cues. The Ode to Joy is used repeatedly in the movie. And it's only near the end, I think, that finally it's queued up where it's recognizable. Like you're like, oh, okay, they're playing that. And it just all ties together. And I thought that was, again, like one
Pretty
of these
cool.
really great artistic choices to do that throughout the picture. Like really well done.
The director is John Campbell McTiernan Jr. He directed Predator, obviously Die Hard, and The Hunt for Red October.
Interesting. Now you see, Predator does have that nice mid-movie switch. Where
Right.
it starts as one thing and switches to another.
Yeah.
And The Hunt for Red October, I mean, that's a great exercise in tension. So you can see why those elements worked in Die Hard, because
Right.
the tension in Die Hard was really well done.
Did you like the end scene when he falls? The expression of shock on his face, the story about them dropping him on 2. And he's trying to get the watch off his wrist because his wife is stuck to the watch.
Yeah, and that was, again, that was another really good bit of writing, was the watch, to bring that full circle, to reference that again in the end. The watch ultimately ends up being like a sort of a symbolic thing, right? Because the watch in the beginning is almost sort of symbolic of the fracture in their marriage, right?
Mhm.
That is the gift that she was given for climbing the corporate ladder.
Show him the watch. Well, go on, show him. What are you, embarrassed? It's just a small token of appreciation for all her hard work. It's a Rolex.
And when she climbs the corporate ladder, that is what separated her from John. So that watch kind of represents the distance between them. And then so in the end, in order for him to defeat Hans and to save her, he has to remove that watch from her. So ultimately that symbol of the distance in their marriage is sort of broken, and they leave the building together to go enjoy Christmas as a family together. It was a nice callback and a nice bit of symbolism there to utilize that as the way that Hans ultimately gets defeated. In the second half, when the supporting cast starts to come in, like it gets a little silly.
The cop's background story about why he's not a cop anymore.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I actually, that was a bit where I was actually really kind of pissed at the movie. His tragic backstory is that he accidentally shot a kid on the street who just had a toy gun, and he's very upset about it, and he's been taken off the street because of that, and now he's a desk jockey.
I shot a kid. He was 13 years old. Oh, it was dark. I couldn't see him. He had a ray gun, looked real enough. You know, when you're a rookie, they can teach you everything about being a cop except how to live with a mistake.
And what is his redemption? How do they redeem him in the end? By having him fucking kill someone. Holy shit. I was like, when that happened, I was like, how tone deaf is this? This is incredibly freaking tone deaf. I know, yes, I understand that there's a difference between the two shootings. One was a tragic accident and the other one he was taking out a bad guy. But holy crap, like to have that be his sort of redemption arc, his, oh, I shot the bad guy. And when his backstory is about a tragic shooting, my Lord, I could not believe how tone deaf that choice was. I don't know, perhaps maybe it was just a sign of the times, right? Because in the 80s, the heroes shot people.
Yeah, because I think if you think about it from the 80s, it was that he got his nerve back.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like he can kill people again.
Yeah. Boy, that did not play for me at all. I was just like, wow.
I'm glad you finally got to see it.
So now I guess that means I must throw a movie your way.
A little nervous.
The one main caveat is, though,
oh boy,
is you are not allowed to research the movie before watching it.
Okay.
Like, it's best to just not know anything going into it. The movie you will be watching is The World's End.
World's End.
The World's End stars Martin Freeman and Edgar Wright, who is a super clever director. And yeah, it's The World's End. Do not research it.
I won't. I'm just gonna. I'll find it and I'll just watch it. I'm looking forward to watching this because I'm not knowing at all anything about it. So that it'll be a fun experience.
If you folks enjoyed this, please leave a comment in the comments. Tell us what you think about Die Hard and our impressions of Die Hard. Just like and subscribe. And if you dig what you're seeing, you can also go to patreon.com/nerdoutwithme and support us there.
Thanks for hanging out at the movie club.